Good morning. June 26th is here, which means Matthew, my son, is going back to Texas. I slept in a little bit and I have a doctor appointment this morning, so I didn't get to go to the airport with him and Daryl. But they just called me and said, "Mom, you better get out there." It's a beautiful sunrise. And I was trying to get myself together to get a shower. But here I am, guys. Put that off to get this gorgeous sunrise for you guys. June 26th, 2025. And, well, there's a little bit of loveliness over there. I don't know, in the comments, you think Carol should trim that tree. She's pretty in the way of all my beautiful sunrise. So, all right, let me put this behind me and sit down and look and see what we're going to talk about today. I could not sleep last night. I just could not sleep, worried about Maddie and his flight. I know if you're going to worry, then don't pray. If you're going to pray, then don't worry. Get it? If you're going to worry, then don't pray. If you're going to pray, then don't worry. That is what my very smart husband says. So, yeah. Okay. I picked one. It says, I let go of fear of change. And now that I'm 60, there's even more changes. I mean, I had a hard time with empty nest syndrome when little Daryl moved out. Then eventually Matthew did. But a lot of changes, you know, my mom passing and my friends are starting to pass away. There's so much change in my life. But here we go. Excuse me. I feel a sneeze coming. I let go of fear of change. When facing change, many of us experience fear. That fear may be due to the uncertainty of what might happen, to the perception that we lack the tools to face it, or most of all, to our attachment to what is familiar. While letting go is difficult, the truth is that change is the only permanence in our lives. From birth, we change. We leave our mother's womb and enter a different world. Later, we let go of the safety of our homes to attend school. We grow as freedom-loving adolescents. As we become adults, we may feel overwhelmed by the fear of change. But if we look back, we recognize we've been through this before. Our lives have been one change after another. With the experience and knowledge we have acquired by those changes as we grew, we have the necessary strength and courage to face another change. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Wow. Wow. This book is just awesome. While letting go is difficult, the truth is that change is the only permanence in our life. Wow. And how many, like, when we became adults and we were overwhelmed by the fear, you know, of change, going off to college, leaving, you know, your home that you've known for your whole life. With me, I did everything backwards. I got married and moved out. And then I went to college when my kids were both already here. So that was tough, but at least I went to college, right? And my husband as well. So all these changes do overwhelm me, at least. Um, the change when Matthew decided to move to Texas, so far away from Pittsburgh, PA. It's really rough, but he's happy there with his spouse. He made a life there. He has friends. He has a job. He's a productive citizen. I mean, what more can I ask for? That he's happy. Might make me sad. He might miss me as well. I think he misses me. I don't know. But yesterday when we were dancing, and I was editing my video and just looking at his face over my shoulder, how much he loves me. And we've always been close his whole life. He's my baby. And just like when I got married to Daryl so young, I missed my parents when I left to go on my honeymoon and then, establish our own little apartment we had. But I knew I was going to be happy with Daryl, and we have been. People didn't think that we were going to make it. Even the priest from my parish, he had, because we were so young, he had our parents, both of our parents had to come to the parish office and talk to the priest, and he's telling them that they're too young. But we had to take classes and everything, but our parents signed us over. But I've always been more mature than the friends my age. I've always had older friends, and now I'm finding myself that I still have older friends, or no, I'm the older friend, but I've found that I'm, friends with younger people than me. And I think, oh, to be 30 again, or oh, to be 40 again, 50 again. Now it's like 50, all these changes I'm making, especially 60. I never in a million years when I was younger thought that I would, number one, get married. I did that. Number two, have children. Like, when I brought little Daryl home from the hospital, I just sat on the bed holding him. I'm like, now what? I'm responsible for this life. I just went into a panic, like, what am I gonna do? And then it was in October he was born, and it was getting chilly, and the house we were renting didn't have, the heat wasn't working in the house. And I thought, I have this little baby and the furnace isn't working, and how am I going to keep him warm? How am I going to take care of him? How am I going to afford this and that? It was just so overwhelming. So by the time I had Matthew, I wasn't as overwhelmed because I already went through that. That's just like one of my younger friends, I believe it was Thay. Her channel is Have a Nice Day. She has like a gaming station, but she used to come to my trivia nights that I had live on Friday or Saturdays. I can't remember. I think it was Saturdays. Daryl and I used to do that. And she's like, I got really mad at my parents, but then I thought about it and I realized, you know what? This is their first time being a parent. It's the first time doing something, like the first time you drove a car, or the first time, when a baby walks, you got to keep trying harder. And she's so right for a young person. She's so, I don't know, she just has really deep thoughts, and I just really admire her for that. She is very mature for her age. I think she's 19 or 20. If you're watching, Thay, I haven't seen you around, kiddo. I'm damn thinking about you. So, yeah, like changes. Think about some of the changes you've made in your life. Maybe, just like when I was, I had to eventually leave my job. Well, actually, the truth of the story is, when my mom got sick with cancer and she started her chemo, they had what's called the what's it called? The OBP? No, it was the OBT, OPT, Old People Transportation, OPT. And I was like, my mom is not taking the OPT, Old People's Transportation. What they do is they pick her up at her house, take her to Hillman Cancer Center, which is in Pittsburgh, you know, for her chemo, and then drive her back home. Now, who on the heck wants to ride on a bus? It was actually a little minibus for old people. And just having chemo, you're not feeling well. You know, I'm like, my mom's not going to be like that. She's not going to have some stranger driving, and then she'd probably be the last stop. And that's just not right. So I would take her every other Tuesday for her chemo, and she had her chemo. Sometimes we were there from morning until like 9:30 at night. She had so many different chemos they were trying on her, and then she would go home with a 2-day dose on her pack in her port, and she had to wear it around her waist until it, you know, finished running. So she had a lot of chemo and a lot of care that I had to give her. And I had the sick days, but the diocese decided that at the end of the school year, they said, because we found out she had cancer in, like, I think it was May, and then she started her chemo. There was only maybe 2 weeks left of school, and I took off some days because I was really concerned for her. And they ended up, you know, when it was time to sign the contract, I had a really weird feeling. You know how you get that gut feeling that something's just not right? Well, the nun sister of the school, who was the principal, she slid a paper over to me and says, "We won't be needing you next year." And I was like, what? You know, I was the only kindergarten teacher. I mean, I had people requesting, you know, to come to the school to go to my classroom. And what are you talking about? So she pushed a list of schools toward me that I could go apply for. And I'm like, well, who's going to teach kindergarten? So that was just the most devastating thing in my life, to take my kiddos away from me. That was my livelihood. My job was my livelihood. Teaching kindergarten, that was everything to me. And she took it away, you know, because my kids were gone, you know, they're on their lives. And my mom's sick. My dad's having a hard time because he had macular degeneration. He was blind, more or less, except for peripheral vision in his one eye. And what am I supposed to do to support my family? Because we needed 2 incomes. So yeah, they fired me. But it all worked out in the end. I mean, because I got to spend those final months, a year and almost a year, something like that, that I got to spend with my mother, taking her and making sure she got to her chemo and back. And it was a bumpy road, but I did it. Those were changes, especially when my mom passed away and I was taking care of her for the year and a couple months of her being so sick. She really needed me, and here I am. She doesn't need me anymore. My boys don't need me anymore. And I'm a caregiver by heart. My kindergartners needed me, and nobody needed me anymore. I mean, my husband's pretty self-sufficient. He doesn't need me to do everything like my dad did to my mother, but I just felt so lost, sort of like I'm feeling right now, because I eventually found another job at another place after Mommy passed, but and I nannied for a bit too, but now I just feel like I'm not needed. You know, when Matt was here, I was trying to do everything for me. His mom, I can do it myself. But if he understood, you know, took a little bit more patience with me, he would understand that this is something that I really needed to do, was take care of him while he was here, doing his laundry and things like that. I take great pride in taking care of people. So I'm running over here, but guys, take time for one another. And you know what? If you want to take care of someone, even if they push you away, go ahead and do it. You have my permission. If you want to, you can take care of me. No, I have a hard time for people taking care of me. I'm a giver more than a taker. Just like when I set up that buy me a coffee thing, that was so hard for me to do because I'm not used to asking for anything. So, but yeah, spend time with one another. You're not promised tomorrow. By no means are you promised tomorrow. You know, I didn't think that I was going to lose my mom right after her 69th birthday. She was only a month or so into her 69th year of life, and now she was gone. You know, my friend Kerm, he died at 54. Same thing my mom did, colon cancer. And you are not promised anything. And Vinny died at 59. So just because you're young, there's people that die in their 30s. You need to know that it's not promised. I say goodbye to my husband. I hug him. You know, sometimes I run out to the car and give him another kiss. You don't know, guys. You don't know. I'm not trying to be sad or anything, but take advantage of life. Appreciate each other. Okay? Be kind to one another. I love you guys so much. And I'll see you again when I see you again. I love you. Bye-bye.